Have you been wondering why I never lost a game in any of my videos? You see, it's all because I don't upload losses. Good day everyone, today I will go over some of the mistakes that we all make when playing Bedwars. Watch this video till the end, it doesn't matter which server you play Bedwars on, if you follow my advices your win rate will increase. Mistake number 1. Picking fights too often. Bedwars is basically Undertale, which means that every fight can be resolved peacefully by either running away or by making the opponent not want to fight you anymore. So you should always avoid fighting people who have a bed, because if you kill them they will just respawn and you get absolutely nothing out of it. So why would you fight somebody who has a bed? Another thing is, don't fight people with better gear. It sounds very obvious, I mean you're gonna lose if somebody has better gear than you. There are exceptions to it, you can knock people off the map sometimes, or if somebody has less health than you, but generally don't fight people with better gear, because why? Next, always have solid ground behind you when fighting. Another pretty self-explanatory one. If you don't have a solid ground, then you're just gonna get knocked into the void. It's simple, right? Everybody takes knockback in this game, so you don't wanna fall off. Unless you obviously have ender pearls. Next, don't fight poor people. I mean, if somebody doesn't have any resources, then why would you fight him? You're not gonna get anything out of it. If he has a bed, then he's also going to respawn, so you don't get anything out of that either. You're not eliminating somebody out of the game. Also, don't fight with a health disadvantage. I often do a thing where I start running around when I have low HP and wait for my health to regen from the natural regeneration, and then I fight somebody. You can see that in some of my videos, mostly in Skywars, but it also applies to Bedwars. Natural regeneration works in both of those game modes, but sometimes you should just avoid fighting if you have less health than your opponent. And lastly, before a fight you should always try to get a high ground advantage. If you watched Star Wars, then you probably understand why high ground is so important, but to those who didn't. Basically, if you have high ground, then you can always jump to the low ground, and if you have low ground, you cannot jump to the high ground unless you have like a jump potion or something. Just have in mind that high ground is always better because it gives you more options. Now, mistake number 2. Rushing too much. Don't get me wrong, rushing is sometimes good, but people that I play with rush too often. So, first of all, go for teams which are a threat to you. Don't fight those teams which are just chilling, fighting somebody else, because it's not gonna give you anything. If somebody's not a threat, then he's gonna die either way soon enough. It's very important to keep in mind that time is also a resource in Bedwars. I mean, in pretty much any game, time is a resource, and everybody has the same amount of time, because it passes at the same speed for everyone, except of me, of course, because I have a stand, but that's not important right now. So, if you don't have much time, then you should probably not spend a lot of that time fighting teams which are not a threat to you. Next, it's very important one, focus hard on resource collection. Because if you just have better gear than everyone, then there's no way for you to lose the fight. You can see in some of my videos, I just get prot for diamond armor and then I can do anything. I can hit people with a bow and still do more damage to them than they do to me, because prot for diamond armor, you just don't take any damage with that. Also, like diamond swords, punch bows, everything. It's really good. Get those items. It makes you just win every fight. Next, don't make enemies. Like I said earlier, Bedwars is basically Undertale. If you don't fight somebody, then they are less likely to fight you. Also, Bedwars players have IQ of a pufferfish, which means that if you kill somebody once, that player is going to go for you for the rest of the game, so try to avoid fighting people who you do not want to make enemies out of. And another very important tip, let your opponents fight between each other, because then you're gonna get more time. Your opponents are gonna waste time because they are fighting each other and just not getting anything out of it. So you will be able to use that time to collect more resources while they are fighting, or go kill somebody who is a threat to you while your other opponents are fighting each other. Now, mistake number 3, playing too defensive. I said that rushing too much is a mistake, but playing too defensive is also a mistake. You have to find the right balance between rushing and defending, so you're always prepared for everything. First off, don't waste too much effort building around your bed. You're gonna see in all of my videos that I only put one layer of wool because that's all you need, really. You don't need bed defense, especially in solo. In other Bedwars game modes, sure, you can get bed defense, just don't overdo it, because the more layers you get, the harder it is for you to build the defense, because the more blocks you're gonna need to build the defense. In solo, one layer of wool is always enough. Next, do the first rush right after hitting 16 iron. Don't wait any second longer, because like we said earlier, time is a resource. Every second in Bedwars matters. So you wanna rush as soon as possible. That 1 second that you don't waste by rushing right after the 16 iron and 64 blocks, you can get a high ground advantage from this. And with a high ground advantage, you're always going to win the first fight and do the first rush correctly. Another thing is buying generator upgrades. Not many people do that, but just don't do it ever, because generator upgrades are completely useless. Like, why would you ever buy a generator upgrade? You can just go to a different base and from that generator collect stuff. All of your diamonds are gonna be useful for protection and sharpness. Those two things are the most important. Traps are okay, I guess. Heal pool, sometimes, occasionally it's okay, but just focus on protection and sharpness. And lastly, don't waste time by like sitting in the shop thinking, what should I buy? Should I go for chainmail armor or for a fireball? Just make a choice. I don't know, it doesn't matter what you pick. If you're gonna sit in the shop for 10 seconds, you're making a mistake. Don't do that. Also, don't wait until your opponents rush you. Try to rush them first. Don't waste time. If you rush them, then you're gonna have the attacker advantage and it's gonna be easier for you to win. Mistake number 4, lack of area awareness. This one you see in pretty much every single game. Everybody has a lack of area awareness. Even I often don't see somebody and get stabbed in the back. So you should never allow your opponent to sneak up behind you and stab you, get the first hit. What I recommend you do is get your volume up, so you always hear if they're, for example, drinking a potion, eating a gapple, placing blocks, or even hear their footsteps, which you can do actually if you have volume really high up in the game. Another very important tip, don't get fireballed / bowed off the map. If you're ever on a bridge, always look around you, see if there's a fireball or somebody with a bow shooting at you, because if there is, you're most likely going to die. If there is a fireball, maybe try to deflect it with a bow, for example. If somebody has a bow, then I recommend you don't go through a narrow bridge, just like fall back, do something else, or maybe try to dodge their arrows, but this option is very risky, so do as you wish. And also, don't bridge when your opponent has fireballs and bows. This one is even more important, just never bridge. If you have a bridge egg on Hypixel, then sure, you can throw a bridge egg. That's what they are for. If you throw a bridge egg, you're gonna be safe and you're gonna get a bridge. It's actually crazy how often people die from fireballs and bows when they are bridging. Just avoid that always. Mistake number 5. Not enough items. People often focus too much on fighting people who have a bed and making many mistakes that I said earlier, instead of just stacking up and then having 12 stacks of ender pearls and just destroying everyone. Should always focus on collecting resources, both diamonds and emeralds. In solo and doubles, I'd say that diamonds are more important. In triples and quadruples, emeralds are more important because the prices in the shop are different with the diamonds. And also keep in mind that the resources themselves don't give you absolutely anything. Having 5 diamonds on yourself doesn't make you any stronger than your opponent. The resources only give you an advantage if you're spending them. So like, if you have a lot of resources, run straight into a shop, buy items. Don't wait until your opponent kills you, because that is just a waste of resources. And a similar mistake is buying too many items. So for example, like 12 golden apples. So then you use only 3 of them and the other 9 get wasted and absolutely nothing comes out of them. Spend that gold on, for example, a bow or a knockback stick. A very good choice. You should always get those things if you have a lot of gold. And the same goes with potions. People often buy like 12 stacks of different potions and they never use them and they are just wasted in their inventory and they die die with them. Next, don't waste your resources buying endstone, wood or obsidian. You can spend that money a lot better. For example, you can buy fireballs, maybe golden apples, or like diamond swords, diamond armor. Maybe diamond swords are not a good idea usually, and sometimes they are okay if you have a lot of items. Then okay, you can buy a diamond sword, but generally buying blocks is just a waste of items. Use only wool in solos. In other game modes, I guess you can make a wood bed defense or endstone bed defense, but don't go over that. Now, another very important thing, people sometimes just don't buy bows for some reason, like they have 12 stacks of gold, but they don't spend it on bows, and I mean, that's a mistake. If you have a lot of gold, buy a bow. Get a power bow, or if you don't have that much gold, maybe get a normal bow. It's also fine. It's a ranged weapon. It gives you a lot. People just don't buy it because, oh, but bows are annoying. Okay, and if your opponent is gonna have a bow, are you just gonna cry in the corner that, oh my god, bow spammer, no, L, and die doing absolutely nothing to them? Or do you maybe also want to buy a bow and kill them from range instead of just being toxic in the chat and not doing anything? Maybe just sometimes it's your fault that you're dying and not the fault of your opponent because they have a bow or a fireball. And another similar mistake, not buying knockback sticks. Also a great weapon, it does knockback. It's occasionally useful, not all the time, but if you have a lot of gold, then just buy a knockback stick. Have it in your inventory. It's gonna come in useful at some point, definitely. Next, you don't need more than one ender pearl. Usually, I mean, sometimes 2 ender pearls, I guess, but 3 ender pearls, don't buy that. Don't get me wrong, ender pearls are good, but they cost 4 emeralds each. You can buy a full diamond sword with that, or like 4 potions, or so many other things. Use those emeralds wisely. Get no more than 1 ender pearl. It's enough to save your life, always, almost, if you aim it correctly. Next, don't buy items that you cannot use. This mostly applies to ender pearls, because sometimes people buy ender pearls, but they don't know how to aim them and they just fall off with the ender pearl and just die. Sometimes, if you don't know how to use an item, maybe you shouldn't buy it. But then again, if you don't buy it, then you're never going to improve your skill with ender pearls. So it's not always that good of idea. It's the best if you know how to use every item in the game, because then you can buy everything and you're gonna use everything to its fullest potential. And another big mistake, forgetting diamond upgrades. Sometimes people just go only for emeralds and iron and gold and just forget that diamonds exist, and you should never do that because diamond upgrades give you a lot. Protection 4 on full armor gives you a 64% damage resistance. That's a lot. Sharpness 1 also very important. It costs like nothing, 4 diamonds. You can get that after like 2 minutes of the game. But in my personal opinion, protection is even more important than sharpness, though I mean ideally you wanna get both of these upgrades. Lastly, don't let your opponents get stuck. If you see somebody at middle running around collecting all the emeralds, maybe you should kill them and steal all of their emeralds, or at least not allow them to buy obsidian, or not allow them to buy diamond armor, diamond sword, whatever. Don't let your opponents get stuck, because even if you have prot for diamond armor, it doesn't matter if your opponent also has prot for diamond armor, because then you're just gonna be even. You want to always have more gear than your opponents. In summary, there's pretty much just one rule: play smarter, not harder. You don't need any clutches, insane PvP combos to win Bedwars. You just need to play smart. You can outgear your opponents all the time and win any fight. Why fight when you can just run away? Why break beds when you can let your opponents fight each other? Why PvP when you can knock opponents off the map? And here are just 3 general rules that if you follow, you're gonna win a lot more games. First one, don't die by yourself. Don't jump into the void for absolutely no reason. You're gonna see me doing it sometimes to get to my base faster. That's called voiding. It's an actual strategy. But if you're not voiding, then don't die by yourself. Rule number 2, don't AFK. And I don't mean literally AFK. If you're standing still and not doing anything, just thinking, or I don't know, whatever you're doing, don't AFK. Rule number 3, acquire materialistic wealth. If you follow these 3 rules, you're gonna win. Not all Bedwars games, because there's some other skills useful, but most of the games you're gonna get probably like 60% win rate in solos. And the last thing that I want to say to you, get teammates, go to like lobby 1, ask anybody if they can carry you in Bedwars. Okay, maybe not carry, but like look for teammates in lobbies, don't solo queue. That's basically why I always play solo, because I don't have friends and just can't get good teammates when I play quadruples and triples. Thank you for watching this little tutorial from me on how to win Bedwars. This was 5 mistakes that all Bedwars players make and you should avoid them. Like and subscribe or I will steal your win rate. Also, here is a video of me beating Bedwars on a pacifist run, which means I can't kill anybody, I have to talk my opponents into leaving the game. This was one of my best videos. Check it out right now. Goodbye!